Good morning, this is JHS Weekly. I'm Kendall Lewis.
And I'm Alex Hunt.
Abby Nielsen shows us some insight to suicide awareness.
I interviewed fellow students and faculty about addressing suicide prevention and mental health.
So in my years of being a student at JHS, I have witnessed a lot of students passing, and I think that it's really tragic, and I've known a couple of them personally, and it really hits home, and it really shows you just how serious bullying and mental illness is. With the students passing, it's affected me personally on how I look at life. I definitely think that life is something that should be kept as like a very fragile, it's like, a very serious thing. Like when someone threatens to, commit suicide, that should be something that's taken seriously. And I think that in a lot of cases it wasn't. And I think that there's a lot of signs that teachers and students, just looked past and they didn't acknowledge. And I feel like the school tries, but I feel like they could do a lot more than what they have been doing. And I just think that it's overlooked and it shouldn't be. Most of the people I know that have mental illness or mental health problems of any kind have had some kind of traumatic event happen to them in the past. So, either it's something from their childhood or something from school, they don't fit in, or they go home to like a really unhealthy household. And I feel like the school needs to be aware of what every student is going through at home. So if they have a bad home life, I feel like the counselors should ask them those questions. Ask them the questions of, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Instead of asking us down there every now and then to see how our grades are, I think they should ask us about how we're doing, with our own mental health. Like, are we mentally okay? And is school helping that? Are we safe at school? Do we feel mentally stable at school? And I think that a lot of the times, mentally unstable kids will reflect in bad grades, or even great grades, but how do you know? When a student or somebody tells me that they want to die, which they haven't, but if they do, I feel like my initiative as a friend or, an acquaintance of any kind or whoever is to help them. I know that a lot of people say it's to get a teacher or get an adult, which is absolutely true. You should tell somebody. You should tell an authority figure if someone says those things. But I feel like whenever someone says that they want to die and they're coming to you as a person, or they do come to me, like I'm using the example of like a student that comes to me and says, hey, I have these bad thoughts, help me. My first thought is to sit them down and tell them that they are worth it and that they do mean something and that whatever they're going through, whatever dark cloud that they're in is going to pass and that it'll be okay. And that no one else can make them happy. They have to do it themselves, which is always, something rough to say, but it's true. And, if they have a happy, positive outlook on life, then that means that they'll have happy, positive thoughts. And so I think that that's a big deal. And that's how I would handle it, is just giving encouragement. And if they still felt that way, I would definitely refer it to an adult or an authority figure. Some of the suicidal behaviors would definitely include maybe distancing yourself from other students in class, assuming that this is in school, right? So if you're in school, I would say that some of the behaviors would be distancing yourself in class, really, really quiet, not really outgoing. If you try to reach out to them, they kind of distance themselves again. Maybe even in some cases, it's really hard to recognize. Some people are really happy all the time, and maybe they go home and they have an awful home life. So it's just one of those things where, you need to get to know that person and you need to take an interest in their life. And once you get to know them, you'll understand, more of those things that they go through, because everyone has, something that they carry around, the baggage. So I do think that most of the signs are really hard to recognize and really hard to pick out, but in some cases, it's pretty obvious. I think that with the mental health in the school, that some teachers have really, outdone themselves. They really get close to their students and they try. And then, of course, you're always going to have those teachers that just don't. And when, it's really sad that there's some teachers like that, and I feel like if you're going to be a teacher, that's your responsibility to take care of those kids and to treat them like they're your own. If you have like a lockdown, you're supposed to take care of those kids, right? And you're supposed to shelter them and defend them. And I feel like with suicide, most people don't really take into consideration that it's something that can happen and that's very well possible. So it's really sad, and I think that there's always room for improvement and that they can always do more. So what I would tell students or faculty or whoever with suicidal thoughts is that you're not alone, and you have people that are here and that will listen to you like me. If you want to contact me, my name is Kendall Lewis, kendalllewis.stu. I mean, you can contact me, you can email me, you can contact a teacher. I encourage you to tell somebody. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't let those thoughts turn into, actions. I mean, really, it's something that can 100% be, defeated. And I feel like some students just feel like they're in this black cloud, like I said, and they can't escape it. And there's always room to get out of that. And sometimes they just need help. So if you are a student that needs help, contact an adult, contact someone, an authority figure at the school, contact your counselor, do whatever you have to do, but don't stay silent.
If you or anyone that you know is thinking about committing suicide, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. I'm Abigail Nelson reporting for JHD.
Thanks, Abby.
Varsity Dance Team is holding a dance skills clinic on Sunday, January 13th, 2019 at JHS from 3 to 5 p.m. Please see Coach Pyle Towdy in G106 for more information. Forms can be picked up in G106 or in the ad office.
Sophia Good goes around the school and shows us what students are planning to do over Christmas break.
I'm here with these students. I'm going to be trying to figure out what they're going to be doing this Christmas break and what plans they have in store. So what are you guys planning on doing this Christmas break?
Probably hanging out with my friends and family.
Probably the same thing too.
All right, so do you guys are you going to have any Christmas traditions that you usually do with your family that you are going to be doing this year? Or?
We just all get together. That's about it.
We watched the Christmas Story together.
All right. And is there anything that you're wanting from Santa or anything?
Apple Watch.
AirPods.
I'll be staying here locally, but I always start off with my immediate family, and then I will go visit grandparents and stuff like that. I don't really have any plans, but I do plan on going to swim every single day. We always have our elf on the shelf running around through the house, and then we always open one Christmas present every single year on Christmas Eve.
What are you going to be asking Santa for this Christmas?
I'll probably I don't know. I don't have it. I don't really ask for anything.
We just wake up, eat breakfast, and open presents.
Are you going to be going anywhere for a Christmas vacation?
I actually am.
Where is it?
I'm going to Bogota, Colombia. And if you don't know what it is, it's a country in South America.
All right, so are you going to be doing anything there specific with any family or?
Yeah, I'm going to do my normal family tradition over there.
And what's that?
Basically, for Christmas, we eat over there at night on Christmas Eve, and we stay up and we count down until Christmas Day at 12 a.m., and after that, we open presents.
So what are you going to be wanting from Santa this Christmas?
Books.
Reporting for JHD, I'm Sophia Good.
Thanks, Sophia.
Wrestling on its own is a wonderful sport. Now is as good as a time as ever for girls to join in and build the community.
Wrestling comes to satisfy all. It teaches you to take responsibility for your own wins and losses and to improve yourself. Now is as good a time as ever for girls to join and make a difference.
I think wrestling is important because it gives all different sizes of athletes a chance to participate, where basketball is usually for the people that are over 6 foot tall. We have people that are 3 foot tall to 6 foot tall wrestling. And it's also a good sport. It builds determination, discipline, and a lot of other things that go along with everyday life.
I've never had any experiences, but I've known many kids that have. Wrestling important does keep you out of a lot of difficult situations in middle school and high school. You have to get good grades for it, and you can't get a lot of throws or fights. So that's one thing that I figured out.
It is starting to get more of a popular sport between boys and girls. In the youth league, for a while, they have had girls wrestle, And as they get up, a lot of them kind of are starting to drop out because they have to wrestle girls. In the state of Missouri, they're trying a 2-year period to see if girls are interested, and if after that 2-year period, they'll have a lot more teams for girls and different things like that if they find interest in it. Missouri Valley in the state of Missouri is a college that has been national champs before, and on their girls team and their guys team.
To see another girl wrestle, not exactly. I've seen many other schools at least have a good 2 or 3 wrestlers on the team, though many middle schools or high schools don't have it at all. It's just something that's there or it isn't.
The award we won was a second place trophy. We got a plaque for taking second at our individual, and we got quite a few medals for that also. I think it's more important for girls to start the wrestling now, and I think it goes with our culture because we're the me now period where girls can do just the same as what guys can do. I think it's part of that, but I think it really builds self-esteem. We had a girl wrestle this year that's really quiet and really not very outgoing, and she wrestled and she's been really going. She's won 3 or 4 matches for us this year against boys. Sometimes they also wrestle girls, but most of the time they wrestle boys. And she's been able to come out of her shell a little bit and made her more outgoing, and it's given her a sport where she wouldn't have played basketball, so it gives her a sport and something to be a part of throughout the school system. We usually, at the middle school, we don't have very many girls. Last year we had 1 girl. This year we've got 4, so it's starting to build. The program's starting to build at the middle school level. I am not for sure at the high school level how many boys or how many girls they have out. I mainly coach boys, but when there's a girl that comes out, she comes out and she's just like any other boy. She does everything that the boys do. Has to do the same push-ups, same setups. All those things work just the same way, so we just treat them just like part of the team.
Reporting for JHD, I'm Earl Cepeda.
Thanks, Earl.
JHD is currently looking for announcers for the upcoming 2019 basketball season. If you are interested, please contact Mr. Ward at nathanielward@joplinschools.org.
Kids no longer have to wear flip-flops in the winter. With the Bright Futures Immediate Student Needs program, kids can now meet their need of clothes and stay comfortable during the rough times.
Bright Futures Immediate Need Program is a wonderful program where the community comes together and offers support from one another. We as a community have the opportunity to do something of a worthy cause. Not only would you feel better for doing something great, but you'll also improve the life of a child who could really use the extra hand.
Every year we have kids that show up on that first day when snow flies, and they walk in the door wearing flip-flops. It happens every year. And invariably, there's a counselor or a principal standing just inside or maybe outside the door and saying, "Dude, where are your shoes?" And some of the kids go, "Well, I didn't think it'd be this cold," and that's okay. They got shoes at home. But some of them say, "This is all the shoes I got." And we can fix that. And a counselor or principal lets us know, and we can get a pair of shoes. Usually we can get the shoes back ready for the child before he goes home that day. And so that's heartwarming for us to be able to do that. We maintain an inventory here, and so there'll be occasions that we put out on Facebook that we're running really low on use small pants or shirts for or whatever, and the community always responds and is able to bring those in, and we're able to have them here and be able to respond to meet the need. Sometimes we need something that we don't inventory. Have a little guy with a pair of shoes, but he has wide feet and he needs a size 5 wide. Well, we don't carry wides here. It's rare that those come up. But we have a member of the community that is able to go out and buy the shoes that he needs and is able to bring them to us, and we're able to meet the need. That's really a beautiful way to have the community meet the needs and connect to those needs. Bright Futures was established with the idea that there are people out in the community that are going, I'll help. I'll help. I don't know what to get. I don't know where to take it. I don't know what to do. But if I knew what was needed, I'd do it. And we see it happen all the time, where the community responds and is able to step up and make the difference. Bright Future stands in the middle, protects the child's privacy, helps connect the community members. We're able to publicize safely and respecting that child's privacy, we're able to then gather the items together and make sure they get it and they're taken to the right spot so that they can have what they need. And that's extremely gratifying to be able to do that. A long time ago, when Bright Futures was first instituted, one of the first things that they recognized was that students, when they drop out of school, they do so most often because they're distracted with life. It's not because they can't do the work. It's not because they're not smart enough. It's because life gets in the way. And it is really difficult to study and to consider all those new things that you're being asked to do by a teacher when you're cold, or when you're too hot, or when your feet are wet because your shoes have holes in them, or any of those climate condition kind of circumstances that we find ourselves in. And so people said, well, you know, I can help with that. I can get a kid a pair of shoes. I don't want them to worry about that. And so Bright Futures started connecting people. We can't just publish. It's against the law for us to publish a list of names of kids that need shoes. That's not, first of all, it's not kind. It holds those children up for ridicule, and so we don't want to do that. We can't do that. It's, as I mentioned, it's against the law. And so there has to be a buffer, somebody who stands in between, that knows which kid needs it, but is willing to talk to the community and protect that student's privacy. And Bright Futures became that entity that stands in the gap. Sometimes we publish needs on Facebook, and the member of the community recognizes, we'll just say something like, you know, we have a second grader who needs a pair of size 5 tennis shoes. That's all they need to know. That community member will respond and say, yeah, I'll get it, and they bring it here to the administration building. Bright Futures packages it up, takes it to the school, and gives it to the counselor, whoever requested it for that student. That kind of is where it started. As time went on, we recognized that when a kid needs a pair of shoes, he needs those shoes now. He needs them quickly. To wait a few days, it doesn't work. He needs those shoes now. And so sometimes the community could respond very quickly, and it worked out great. But sometimes the community may not be able to respond quickly, or we may find in the afternoon, don't get them to the next day, and then, you know, so we've created extra time involved. So we'd always hoped for a center, a place where that we could have some extra shoes, so that when a child needed a pair of shoes, all we had to do was grab those and run them to him. The tornado helped us provide that. We were able to take all those donations and then continue with monetary donations to be able to stock those boxes and to be able to maintain an inventory of those things that can help a student. And we meet those immediate student needs most of the time. Well over 98% of the time, we meet those needs within 24 hours. No other agency in town can do that. There are plenty of other agencies that provide clothing and shoes and those kinds of things. But in order to do that, the family has to go to them. They have to complete the application. Sometimes that process takes a while. And in the meantime, the kids are having to go to school and they're cold. So we meet the need immediately, thus the name, immediate student need. And then we try to connect that family with the other agencies in town that can better meet that need on a long-term sustainable basis. And so we kind of see ourselves as the 911 of that student's need. We can meet it quickly, help getting some warm shoes, some dry socks, and getting fixed up, and then connecting with those other agencies that can provide the long-term sustainable solution. We've been able to help families, a lot of families over the years. We've had families that have told told the counselor that they couldn't, they didn't know where else to turn. They didn't have the ability to move forward without it. We had one family that Dad had lost his job and the car got repossessed. The whole family's now walking. And we found, the counselor found out about that and turned the names into us. We were able to provide the children with some good clothes, some warm sweatshirts and hoodies, and as well as a coat, a good warm coat with gloves and a hat, so that when they're walking, at least they're warm. And so that made a huge difference in that family's life. There's 4 kids in that family. Mom and Dad, they had the clothes they needed, but the kids always rode to school in the car, and they didn't need the big warm coat. Well, now they do. We were able to help with that, and that meant a lot to us to be able to do that.
Reporting for JHD, I'm Earl Cepeda.
Thanks, Earl.
You have one more day before break to return any library books that are due. Come in and check out a new book or 2 to have for the rest of the break as well. Happy holidays from the library staff.
This has been JHS Weekly. Have a great week.